The next steps of this project, you can use watercolor paints, you could use Crayola crayons, and I'll start with, or markers. I'll start with markers so that you can get an idea of how I would create the background sky with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with yellows and oranges to make my stars. So I'm going to come through here and maybe make a big round circle, and then Van Gogh creates those dash marks, so I don't want it to be solid. And then I'll come down here and make my dash marks. And I'm going to put stars wherever I would want them to go. So some can even go off the page a little bit. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of orange to kind of create that glow effect. And I want to see the dash marks. Make it very painterly, very expressive. Now the cool thing with watercolor markers is if you take a little bit of water after you've done that, you can paint over the water and it will make them bleed into one another, and then they act like a watercolor paint. Once you do one layer, the nice thing you can do is you can go back over it later when it's dry to create different layers of color. So I'll keep working on this and show you the next few steps. For this next part, what I'm going to do is start my background, and I will go in again with marker and start. But you want to follow the direction kind of around your stars, and then you can turn it. Think about Starry Night and how he changed the direction and kind of had this flowing movement with all of his markers or brush strokes. And then I might come in with a different color, maybe a little bit of purple, to layer. And once in a while, it might go into my stars and into my yellow. So I'm just gonna keep going through and creating these shapes. If I wanna use paint as well, I can go in and pull paint and create that background. I'm going to show you, so I have my background done. So what I am going to do though is I can show you how you can go back in with marker to create another layer of markings if you want to create that more post-impressionist effect. So once I have one layer, I can come back through now, and if I really want to add more, I can. So this is how you'll do your background, and once you've completed this part, you'll let this just sit aside and you'll start working on the yellow part for the petals. What you're going to do is, if you look at step number 3, it says preparing your yellow sheet, warm colors. So that's any reds, yellows, oranges. And it says distribute the second piece of paper. You want to use tag board. If you don't have tag board, use your nice drawing paper. And then you're going to take a mixing tray and you're going to add some reds, yellows together to make a variety of different yellows and yellow-orange colors. So I'm just going to fill my background page. So one thing you can do is, if you're going to use your markers again, we can just kind of color through. I'll do marker on the top half and paint on the bottom half. But I'm going to color through. I'm going to overlap my oranges in with my yellows. I might even bring a little bit of a red in. And this is going to give me just a little bit of different tones. I wouldn't want my petals to be all the same flat color of either orange or yellow. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna really pull in my colors. Once I have this, I'm gonna take my paintbrush, you could even take a squirt bottle, and I'm gonna go over my marker, and it's gonna make all of them run together and bleed. So again, this is just with watercolor Crayola markers. If I'm seeing the marker too much, I might come back through. You might want to wait till it's dry, but I can come back through and kind of recolor some areas, because I don't necessarily want to see, I want this to blend a little bit better. And then the bottom half I'm going to do in paint, so I could just take some paint colors, and if you paint with water first, this is called wet and wet, you can paint with water, and then that will spread your paint much quicker. And you can fill, we want to fill the whole page, because then we will eventually let this dry and we will create all of our petals out of this one page. So that's also another reason why we want varying colors.